Chapter 1. Having a healthy mind leads us to live a fulfilling life. A healthy mind automatically transforms into a healthy life. A healthy life transcends living without physical pain or stress. It's the joy in knowing that you are at peace with yourself and that your life is precious and meaningful to you. In our quest to find meaning in our lives, we embark on various journeys, some of which are negative. The majority of us become defined by our environment and the stereotypes created by people like us. While some escape and find a new identity, others are not so lucky. To live a healthy life, we must shed the things that weigh us down. We must offload the burdens we've placed on ourselves, and we must make conscious efforts to overlook close things and embrace strange ones. We must avoid living our lives to please others. Our existence is interwoven with our environment, but that doesn't negate the importance of individualism. It's not selfish to think of ourselves first. A healthy lifestyle requires finding a balance, learning new things, and compromising on certain things. Unless we accept that we are responsible for our lives, we'll find it challenging to live a fulfilled life. As a relationship and lifestyle expert, Alice Boyes has outlined several ways in which we deny ourselves and the essential steps to take to retrace our path. If you are genuinely interested in finding out how to create a better life, this is the right piece for you. Chapter 2. Changing your behavior is one of the quickest and most effective ways to change your thinking. Self-defeating behaviors are quite prevalent in our lives. We consciously or subconsciously create problems for ourselves by putting ourselves in avoidable positions. As humans, we're individually unique and collectively connected through many ideologies, and while each person's unique thought patterns and habits will be their own, many factors link the way we think and act. You may discover that your self-sabotaging actions are hard to prevent. You mostly tend to react to change and surprises with anxiety-driven defensiveness and bias. The truth is that you're not alone and you're not weird. Most of us have too much chaos in our lives with not enough structure and routine. We stick too rigidly to self-imposed rules and practices, and we give up too soon. We are sometimes too persistent that we get excited and rush into action without enough thought and oversight. These actions define us as humans, as fallible beings who must understand that mistakes are inevitable. Self-defeating behaviors force us to overlook a lot of things. Overthinking delays action because you never feel totally sure about anything. We must develop a thinking style that is not too optimistic, and we must focus mainly on the potential upside of our actions instead of the potential problems. When we also create a thinking style that's too pessimistic, we shoot down good ideas, make hard work of the easy stuff, and hold back from potentially excellent and uplifting opportunities. Failure to reflect on and learn from past mistakes is often attached to how we view life. To balance our optimism and pessimism, we need to avoid ruminating about the past in a way that makes us prone to feeling massive guilt and shame. Instead, we need to focus and prioritize current wants at the expense of future well-being. Having a future focus helps us to grow our future using the actions of our present. We must change our behavior if we want to change our lives. Good thoughts enable us to have a good life. A healthy mind starts with healthy behaviors, and to truly declutter your mind, you'll need to tailor your behavior and switch out unconscious problem habits for more deliberate choices. Chapter 3. Fear forces us to overthink and make mistakes that can be avoided. Most times, what drives people to behave in an extreme way is fear. The fear that if they don't show hesitation, they'll end up going too far in the other direction. For example, when you overwork yourself, you do so because you think that if you don't, you'll somehow underwork yourself. The same thing is applicable when you underwork yourself, as you'll end up overworking yourself to meet up. When we fear something, we usually attempt to avoid thinking about it at all. Fear makes us abandon dreams and look at seemingly easy tasks as daring. Fear keeps us away from achieving our true potential, and it stops us from exploring. Most times we are scared of the unknown, and this affects us a lot. Fear forces us to either procrastinate because we fear what will happen if we do something, or be irrational when we fear what will happen if we don't do something immediately. The consequence of the latter is that we become too focused. Being too focused on what you want right now can be good or bad. However, if you always give in to your current wants at the expense of long-term goals, you'll most likely end up having less of the things you want compared to someone prepared to be patient enough to experience more benefits later. Overthinking often results in becoming more confused, and it can waste a lot of time and energy. When we overthink and avoid action, we lose the opportunity to learn from experience. The harder you work to avoid making any mistakes in your decisions, the more intolerable it feels when mistakes are eventually made. There are many reasons why you might fear that which you cannot control. When you are constantly gripped with fear, it means you lack accurate insight into your patterns and the way your life plays out. The harder we work at something, the more valuable we believe it to be. Our brain may devalue the easy wins we could achieve in overcoming self-sabotage, but we must realize that keeping things simple is an essential skill for most people who self-sabotage. Chapter 4. Overcoming self-sabotage is often about finding simple solutions to simple problems. The first thing we must understand is that it's never okay to worry about things beyond our control. When you are worrying about something beyond your control, you are only creating a bigger problem for yourself. Allow yourself to take opportunities to experience simple pleasures and enjoy little things, even if you think you don't deserve them. When you allow yourself to have more happiness experiences, you'll most likely end up feeling like you're more deserving of it. When you accept your wins and celebrate them, no matter how small, bigger wins will look like a reward to you, and you'll enjoy celebrating them more. However, if you consistently deny yourself experiences of positive emotions and feelings, you'll trick your mind into believing that you don't deserve to celebrate. When we open our minds to positive emotions, we become rejuvenated, thereby helping ourselves get a clear perspective on anything that causes us stress. There are times when the simplest behaviors can feel like luxuries to us. These moments teach us a valuable lesson about time and how much we should enjoy the little we have. Instead of going to the mall only when we want to buy household essentials, we can take a stroll to the mall and look around for things we love to eat. We can take longer showers, sing along to our favorite karaoke, or water the plants in the evenings. All of these acts should be done at our convenience, without the need to rush or hurry. Some of the joy that comes from simple pleasures is gotten from the sense that we know ourselves well and deeply understand what we like. Many of us go through daily life feeling mentally exhausted and always playing catch-up. We frequently waste time because we haven't saved enough mental energy to create outlined processes for efficiently completing recurring tasks. We mostly overwork our brains because we fail to find ways to create enough time for ourselves, and this is not good. When we reduce mental clutter and get rid of unnecessary stress, we'll be able to create a positive mindset and a healthy life. Did you know? Worrying can cause depression and reduce your lifespan by 10%. Chapter 5. Procrastination causes us to lose focus and control of our lives. At some point in our lives, we've all experienced the nagging feeling and anxiety that comes with procrastination. Procrastination leads to avoidance, and it causes problems in relationships, especially if you make a habit of avoiding or always asking others to do things for you. Procrastination and avoidance create stress, increase anxiety about whatever you're avoiding, and take away self-confidence. To avoid procrastination, you must do certain things like write a to-do list for each current project rather than putting all your tasks on a daily to-do list. Practice making a good enough decision at least 90% of the time. Identify if a self-inflicted rule is causing you to procrastinate. You must train yourself to let go of things that are unnecessary and some that are necessary. The truth is that not everything that is valuable to you is a priority. It can be quite challenging to decide not to do something that has some value but isn't a priority. However, it's energizing and uplifting when you get unstuck with whatever isn't a priority in your life. Decide not to do something that's on your to-do list simply because it's there. Organize your list and rank the tasks according to their priority. Strike out the ones that you can do well without and focus on the critical ones. Procrastination sometimes comes from having too many tasks to do that you have a hard time focusing on the important tasks. Another essential way to overcome avoidance is to watch people, listen to them, and learn from them. We can get a boost by boosting someone else. When we are surrounded by people who express positive emotions, we also feel more positive emotions. If you've been resisting someone else's advice, suggestions, or ideas, and your resistance isn't in your own best interest, you must find a way to create a connecting link. A connecting link, in this instance, is a method of attaching the behavior you're avoiding with a personal value that's important to you. For example, you have a lot of food stored in your freezer. You're avoiding clearing it out, something which your spouse has been nagging you to do. To find a way to listen to your spouse, ask yourself what you would gain if you had a freezer that's not cluttered. Your answer will probably revolve around time. When your freezer is free of unnecessary food, you'll find it easier to find your preferred food, thereby saving more time. Chapter 6. Stay open to other perspectives. We need to be aware of the possibilities of concluding too early. A pattern emerges that accompanies the irrelevant decisions we make. This pattern forces us to do stupid things that would otherwise affect the valuable things to us. For example, you have a habit of running late, and it causes conflict in your relationships. However, instead of finding ways to stop these irregularities, you end up trying to do just one more thing before that scheduled date with your partner. These little things you do that make you lag might seem irrelevant to you, but they are actively participating in how your life plays out. You tend to decide to do an extra task, even though you know it will create a problem. You have an important project you're working on. Still, instead of just focusing on it, you decide to start another project, even though you know deep down that the energy you devote to the new task will reduce the time you have for your existing project. It doesn't matter how devoted you are, the moment you fail to say no to the things that will invariably delay you, you're exposing yourself to a potential disaster. Know your patterns and study them extensively. This helps you plan ahead in case you focus on irrelevant things. If, for example, you've got a tendency to try to do one more thing before leaving the house, allow an extra 15 minutes to get you through it. This means that you should plan your day at least 15 minutes earlier than you normally would. Once you recognize you've made a minor decision, be prepared to re-examine that decision. For example, if you've done a couple of days of work on a project you shouldn't have started, stop working on it and refocus on your most important goal. Watch out for the decisions that make uncomfortable choices easier or more convenient. These types of decisions make good choices harder or less convenient. When you are faced with these decisions, retrace your steps and find that particular thing that's making it look excessively stressful. Do not opt for an easy option that won't pay you in the long run. In our workplaces, policies and procedures are useful for preventing confirmation bias. When we view a situation from different angles, we open our minds to more ideas and more possible scenarios. It's a funny thing about life. Once you begin to take note of the things you are grateful for, you begin to lose sight of the things that you lack. Germany Kent. Chapter 7. We must cultivate the habit of reinforcing positive interactions in order to sustain our relationships. To sustain relationships, partners need to have at least 5 positive interactions for every negative one. Partners who are fond of arguing frequently tend to overlook the importance of increasing their positive interactions. During a negative exchange, partners may instinctively realize that positive interactions are crucial to solving a problem, but they feel reluctant about doing that since it doesn't align with their actions. When two close people are drifting apart, even though they aren't arguing frequently, they need to increase their positive exchanges to strengthen their bond. The main reason why improving a positive bond needs to come before reducing arguments is that you won't have a spirit of cooperation if you don't have a positive bond with your partner. To truly care about someone else during an argument, you need to establish a sense of positive attachment to that person. Life is not a bed of roses, as the famous saying goes. It's quite normal for long-term relationships to be put to the test and dragged through rough patches. It's also normal for partners to feel disconnected during long periods of stress. However, the most straightforward actions can change your emotions' path so that your tiring relationship becomes interesting once again. Once you've established a more positive bond with your partner, you'll find yourselves arguing in healthier ways. To create positive bonds, you can do the following. Call your partner by an affectionate nickname. Try a nickname you haven't used before, or look for one he answered to at a younger age. Try mental time travel. Mention a good memory of something you did together in the recent past. Enjoying positive emotions is an effective strategy for increasing happiness. Show appreciation for a job your partner does. Always remember to say thank you to your partner for a job they do that benefits you both, but that you rarely thank them for. This reinforces the fact that you appreciate your partner. Don't be too quick to accuse or judge your partner. Describe a situation from your own point of view, describe it from your partner's point of view, and explain the situation as a neutral observer might view it. This helps you examine and judge a situation without bias. Chapter 8. Understanding the difference between business and love is key to controlling our emotions. It is not a smart idea to negotiate with people we love as if we were conducting business transactions. When it comes to relationships, it's normal for emotions to cloud our judgment, but what generally matters most in relationships is emotional trust. When we're attempting to compare our own attachment style to that of our partners, we must be careful not to be stereotypical. Alluding your female partner's behavior to a general stereotype about women can cause a massive mistrust. When it comes to love and business, it's advisable to accept your bias and work towards correcting them instead of denying them. Humans are either securely attached or avoidant. Securely attached people are generally good at paying attention to their partner's emotions, feelings, and reactions. They can read their partner's emotions accurately and, in turn, respond helpfully. They mostly tolerate some insecure behavior from their partners without it freaking them out. However, this lifestyle comes at a price. The biggest weakness securely attached people have is that they may not always understand what it's like to feel insecure, and therefore they may not totally get why someone insecure can't just stop acting that way. In a way, they might be insensitive to other people's insecurities without knowing it. On the other hand, avoidant people can be very demanding and needy when they're not feeling secure. They get caught in the belief that the more they worry that their emotional needs will overwhelm others, the more insecure and demanding they get. The more intense they get with their emotions, the more likely it is that others will become intolerant of their behavior and withdraw from them. People with anxious lifestyles are unsurprisingly always anxious about their work performance and relationships at work. They are prone to overworking to look good in the eyes of others. Securely attached people do not overwork themselves to prove a point. They are more confident of their value to teams and are more likely to be seen by others as emerging leaders. They also display more vigor and organizational leadership behaviors at work. To get rid of an avoidant lifestyle, try accepting that it's normal to have inequality in how connected you feel to a particular friend and how connected that friend feels to you. The energy you give might never be matched, and that's okay as long as you trust the other party. When you understand this, you'll be able to live with people not matching your energy. Chapter 9. The best way to have a fulfilling life is to live for yourself and not for the validation of others. The majority of us suffer from what is known as imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is when, despite your accomplishments, you fear being labeled as a fraud. Your confidence is so low that you become scared of doing something extraordinary because you believe that you are not supposed to be that good. This leads to attempting to fly under the radar and not stand out. At this point, you feel self-doubt, and you alternate between anxiety and confidence, unsure of which one to choose. A significant feature of imposter syndrome is overemphasizing any mistake or negative feedback. You believe that if one flaw is revealed about you or your work, it's going to be the beginning of the end of your career. Imposter syndrome can create a frustrating, emotional feeling of underachievement. Imposter syndrome is often magnified by fear and avoidance of feedback. If you avoid people's feedback, you'll find it hard to know where you're deficient. As much as it's okay to aim lower or act extra charming to compensate for a perceived lack of competence, it's never okay to kill your potential because of fear. Imposter syndrome forces you to attribute a reward to your charm rather than your competence. Avoid jumping to the conclusion that imposter syndrome means there is actually anything wrong. Like people who suffer from obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD, imposter syndrome can come from your brain forcing your body to react exaggeratedly. Just because you feel a sense of danger doesn't mean it exists. Pay careful attention to anyone you avoid or feel envious of because they seem smarter and more accomplished than you. Study them carefully and watch what makes them confident. Do not compare yourself to them in any way. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room to be relevant. There's no man who's an island of knowledge. It's okay to be ignorant of some things as long as you're willing to learn. Your skills don't need to be extraordinary to be valuable in an organization. Always remember that we all need time for pleasure and relaxation to be able to see all our options, make connections between different types of information, and clear our minds enough to make good decisions. Our lives can be as enjoyable as we want, as long as we free our minds and enjoy every moment. Conclusion. Our lives may sometimes spiral out of control, and our existence may seem threatened by factors that look to be beyond our control. But as humans, we are majorly responsible for the type of life we live, which means that as long as we try, we can always set things straight again. A healthy mind toolkit is essential to the growth of everyone. It is impossible to enjoy life without a healthy mind. A healthy mind opens us up to endless possibilities and challenges that we can learn from. It teaches us about the danger of procrastination and the importance of patience. It is the blueprint that will guide us through tough and easy moments. We'll have moments when we'll feel down and out. These are the moments when we should cherish our good memories and celebrate our wins, no matter how small they are. When we celebrate our victories, we accept our importance and we create memories for the challenging days ahead. Victories also teach us that failure doesn't define us and it's okay to try again. Unless we employ a working, healthy mind toolkit and develop a positive mindset, we'll keep on groping in the dark, unsure and unbelieving ourselves. Try this. Appreciate yourself more and stop limiting your potential to appear humble. Define your standards and learn when to compromise and when to remain firm. Do not attach your value to your work and make sure people respect you outside your workplace. As long as you are focused and hardworking, your value will shine through.